USA superstar Ricky Nelson. DC-3 crash 1985. Plus. New EVAS system. This video relies on the final report of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, on the crash of the DC-3, registered N711Y and operated by USA superstar Ricky Nelson, 1940-85, on New Year's Eve the 31st of December, 1985, near DeKalb, Texas, USA. The purpose of the video is not to allocate blame or second-guess the NTSB report, but to identify potential safety issues as safety lessons or refreshers for current and future pilots. At the end of the video, we take a quick look at a new Emergency Vision Assurance System, EVAS, which, if available and used at the time, could have saved the lives of those on board Nelson's DC-3. Ricky Nelson's aircraft and pilots, one of four. After becoming a very famous actor and singer, Ricky Nelson somewhat fell out of fame in the mid-1960s. Nelson regained fame in the early 1980s, and as demand for his music resurged, so did the need for transport for his extensive singing tours with his band. Previously accustomed to using a Learjet, in May 1985 he began operating a 1944 World War II 14-seat Douglas DC-3. Despite jets being preferred over propeller-driven aircraft, he needed to economize. Nelson's DC-3 shown in the picture. Ricky Nelson's aircraft and pilots, 2 of 4. Potential safety issue. The flight was an executive corporate flight with less stringent safety rules than charter and airline flights. Did the less stringent safety rules for this type of flight lead to some substandard practices? Ricky Nelson's aircraft and pilots, 3 of 4. Potential safety issue. The date and type of last inspection of the aircraft were unknown. Also, there was some talk about the aircraft's airworthiness. Was the old Warbird properly repaired, serviced and maintained? Ricky Nelson's aircraft and pilots, 4 of 4. Potential safety issue. The captain had extensive hours, 5,700, but only 150 on the DC-3, and the time of his last flight review was not stated. The co-pilot's experience was not stated. Also, there was some talk about the pilot's knowledge of the aircraft. Were the pilots properly trained and refreshed on the old Warbird? Departure Airport 8A1 Guntersville, Alabama, USA. Microsoft Flight Simulator drone footage. Departure Guntersville Airport, 1 of 4. At 12:40 p.m. on the 31st of December, 1985, after a 2 or 3 hour delay due to aircraft technical issues, the DC-3 departed Guntersville Airport, Alabama, where the group had performed to sell out audiences. They were headed to Dallas, Texas, for more performances, the last for the year, 540 nautical miles, 5 or 6 hours away. On board the aircraft, besides the 2 pilots, were Nelson and his fiancee, and the 5 members of his band. Departure Guntersville Airport, 2 of 4. Potential safety issue. The nature of the technical issues causing the delayed departure were not stated. Did the delay causing technical issues lead to some safety issue with the aircraft? Departure Guntersville Airport, 3 of 4. Potential safety issue. The flight was significantly delayed and given the time of the year, a dusk and night arrival would not be preferred. Also, the group was to perform that night. Did the delay lead to get-there-itis and skipped or rushed pre-flight checks? Departure Guntersville Airport, 4 of 4. Potential safety issue. Did the large group of young passengers lead to distracted or incomplete pre-flight checks? 86,000 feet. Potential safety issue. There was some talk about passengers freebasing cocaine, heating it to a vapor. If this occurred, did it lead to some safety issue? En route, from the NTSB final report, 1 of 3. Crew unable to start aft cabin heater, despite repeated attempts. Smoke entered cabin and then cockpit and became dense. Crew had difficulty seeing. Fresh air vents and cockpit windows were opened. Oxygen and fire extinguishers not used. Heater door was unfastened. Fire originated in the aft cabin area. Source not determined. En route, from the NTSB final report, 2 of 3. Potential safety issue. The aircraft's heaters were known to be problematic. Did aft cabin heater lead to some safety issue? En route, from the NTSB final report, 3 of 3. Potential safety issue. Letting air in would make fire worse, and oxygen and extinguishers not used. Were emergency procedures followed? Crash, from the NTSB final report. At 5:09 p.m., at 6,000 feet, the crew advised ATC they had a problem and wished to turn back to Texarkana. ATC provided a vector and closest airports. At 5:12 p.m., they stated they could not reach an airport due to smoke in the cockpit. While landing in a field at 5:14 p.m., the aircraft hit wires and a pole, and then trees where it was destroyed by impact and fire. The crew egressed through the cockpit windows. The 7 passengers did not escape. Potential safety issues. Smoke means a fire, or soon-to-be fire, which usually demands an immediate landing. Did the crew act fast enough? Did the crew use the emergency checklist? Findings and probable causes from NTSB report. 1. Fire during cruise. Cabin fire, reason undetermined. Cabin and cockpit smoke. Emergency procedures not followed. Emergency checklist not used. Oxygen system not used. 2. Emergency descent and forced landing. 3. In-flight collision with wires and pole during landing and flare and touchdown. 4. On-ground collision with trees during landing roll.
Hey Captain, a passenger just reported some smoke coming out from the air conditioning ducts.
Does the situation is under control?
Yes, for now it's under control, but it smells like something is burning. I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's check for the nearest airports.
Roger, I'll do it. We have Trenton at 30 miles.
Smoke, fire and fumes real.
Oxygen mask on.
Captain on oxygen.
First officer on oxygen. Passenger oxygen manual drop. Civil signs on.
Smoke, fire and fumes environmental checklist.
Smoke, fire and fumes environmental checklist. You have the radius.
Mayday, select 001, flight level 200. We have fire on board, request descent to 3000.
Select 001.
Oxygen
Roger,
mask
copy.
on.
Mayday,
MIG
3000.
on mask.
Maintain
Passenger oxygen manual
Present
drop.
heading 3000.
Cabin temp mode off. Left leader valve environmental off. If smoke ceases.
Negative.
If smoke persists.
Affirmative.
Left lead air valve open. Right lead air valve environmental off. If smoke ceases.
Yes, it's ceasing.
Select 001, confirm your present heading.
Heading 076. Select 001.
Select 001. Roger, turn right heading 180 degrees, descend and maintain 3000.
180, descend and maintain 3000. Select 001.
Crew awareness, consider the loss of possible aircraft systems where fire started. Land as soon as possible. Electrical fumes environmental checklist complete. All emergency checklist complete. How can I help?
You have the radios, I have controls. Load the charge for Trenton Airport, please.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Smart Aviator podcast, hosted by abbrief.com. And today's guest is Jim Zanino with Vision Safe. And VisionSafe makes safety systems, and in particular, systems to help crew members see through smoke in a cockpit. Jim, before we talk about the technology, I guess the question I have for you is, how common is smoke in the cabin, smoke in a cockpit, for typical business aviation and transport aviation ops?
Yeah, it's actually a lot more than people would think about. So on the transport side, we don't have a whole lot of records for the business aviation, so they're not required to report. But on the transport side, with air carriers and cargo carriers, it happens about 3 to 4 times a day, where aircraft have to divert due to smoke incidents. So the FAA has been following this for many years. There's about anywhere from 1,200 to 1,300 incidents a year, where an aircraft, either it's smoke or fumes in the cockpit, and the aircraft's got to divert because of it. So a lot more than people think.
Yeah, what's the general cause of smoke? When we fly small airplanes, sometimes we smell or see smoke in a cockpit, and it's usually the result of a small component in a piece of avionics or something given out, and a lot of times the bark is worse than a bite. But what kind of smoke issues are we seeing in larger airplanes? Does it have anything to do with batteries, or is it aircraft systems, or what?
It's a combination of a lot of different factors. The leading cause still is avionics and electrical systems. So that's 30% of the incidents are caused by one of those two, whether it be avionics in the cockpit or in-flight entertainment systems in the airplane. The next biggest are probably bleed air and APUs and those type systems in a larger aircraft, where a seal breaks and some of the oil gets through the bleed air system, and that ends up dumping smoke or fumes into the cockpit or cabin. So that's probably the next leading cause. One you've been reading more about lately are these portable battery packs, the lithium-ion battery packs that people carry on airplanes. So depending where those are bought and manufactured, some are lower quality, and those lower quality ones have been known to actually catch on fire. They overheat, and they do what's called a thermal runaway. The bad thing about thermal runaways with lithium-ion batteries is once they start, you can't really put the fire out. It basically has to dissipate the energy within the cell. So basically what they do is they grab it, stick it usually in like these fireproof bags if they have them on board, and then dump it with basically water and seal it up. And that's really all they could do until it dissipates the energy.
Okay, so your product is called EVAS. What's it stand for, and what exactly does it do?
Yes, the Emergency Vision Assurance System. So it's a deployable device where a pilot will pull it out of a canister, stick it on the glare shield, and then open it up. And then it's all self-contained, so it's not tied to any of the aircraft systems. Has its own batteries, alkaline batteries, not lithium ion, and it actually inflates. And what it does, it provides a inflatable tunnel that allows the pilot to see through the windscreen as well as down onto its instruments. And so normal procedure in a business aircraft or airline, you grab your oxygen mask and goggles, slide those on your face, and then this gets deployed, and then you basically just push up against it, and it gives you that clear vision so you can safely fly the airplane.
Okay, so you're looking through this device?
Correct.
How's it see through smoke without giving away the secret sauce?
Yeah, well, it's actually displacing the smoke. So what it's doing is sucking
displacing the smoke. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically pulling in the smoky air that's in the cabin, filtering it through a filter, and then pumping clear air into this tunnel. And that actually exists. It's a little device that basically encapsulates a viewing tunnel and basically allows you to see. So it basically displaces the smoke versus actually eliminating it.
Yeah, and it's pretty much portable?
Well, for Part 25 aircraft, it has to be STC'd and mounted in the aircraft, and they're usually mounted to the left and right of the co-pilot and the pilot. And then there's a piece of Velcro that goes on top of the glare shield where you place it on to put it in, so when it inflates, it doesn't move around as much.
Yeah.
For smaller airplanes like your light jets and those size aircraft, it could be brought in as portable equipment. We get really high market share on the cargo side of the business. We have like 73% market share. 90% of the U.S. carriers like FedEx, UPS all have it. JetBlue uses it on their airlines. Our biggest customer is really Gulfstream. They have 1,400 Gulfstreams flying with EVAS on board.
Has it been through any improvements? Have you learned anything over the years as these smoke events become more common?
Yeah, we do tweaks to the IVU. So each one's got to be designed to fit into the cabin a certain way because each cockpit is slightly different.
Okay.
We also added some LED lights along some of the panels that allow you to actually see, because sometimes it could be black smoke, you can't really see anything. And there's pockets on the side and on the bottom that allow you to slide through an EFB or your paper charts if you still use them. So you can actually see your emergency checklist as well as your approach procedures to land the airplane.
And the way it would work is both crew members would be wearing one, right? There's one for each side.
Yeah, right. They're not really wearing them. They're actually deployed. So they're basically just sitting there in front of the panels and up against the glare seals. Yeah, so each one gets deployed. The way we recommend it is that one person focus on flying the airplane, deploy the first one. It takes about 30 to 40 seconds, and then switch over and then have the other person deploy. The key that why we decided to make it not tied to aircraft power is, like I said, the leading cause still is electrical and IFE. So you're going to start shutting off buses as you troubleshoot the source of the electronics.
Yeah.
If it's tied to one of those buses, you lose the system. So with the battery powered unit, you could use it for up to, it's certified for 2.5 hours, mainly for ETOPS rules and regulations, but we've tested them in the lab for 4 hours. So it'll last for quite a long time. And talking to a few pilots that actually had to deploy it, they said it really makes a huge difference in just the comfort level. Because one of the worst emergencies, as you know, as a pilot, is smoke in the cockpit. Because if you can't see, you can't fly the airplane. And it doesn't take very long for you to lose control of an airplane if you can't see instruments or out the window. Because unfortunately, our inner ear does not do very well without some sort of visual reference to reference it back and forth, so that we could keep the airplane flying straight and level.
What's each device cost approximately?
It's a roughly $23,000 per side, so about $46 for the whole for the cockpit.
Yeah. Do you see a need for this technology in smaller aircraft?
Not as much. I mean, a smaller airplane, mainly you could open your windows or the doors, basically vacate the smoke in the airplane, and it's not that big of an issue. It's mainly designed for like super mids and above is where our sweet spots are. Cargo is the biggest one. There's